Hey everybody, it's Pete Tito, Meadville Tribune, Sideline Confidential podcast, episode number 7, I believe, Jordan. 7. This one doesn't have a title. Well, we don't title ours, but it's episode 7. The day is October 14th. 14th, Jordan?
Yes.
We're recording.
15th.
Oh, no, today's Monday.
Going into the 15th.
Yeah. So it's Monday, the 14th of October, going into the 15th, as days are. Let's see. So Jordan's already answered some of my questions. That's Jordan Hansgen. He's a reporter here at the Tribune. How are you, Jordan?
I'm good.
And over here playing on his phone is Matt DiGiacomo. He's the assistant sports editor. Say hello, Matt.
Hello. I'm doing good too.
Okay.
Late night scoops.
Yeah. So let's see. Fall is almost over. Really, this is our last big week of regular season in a lot of sports. Last week was week 8 of high school football, right? Week 8, yeah. And then this coming up Friday is going to be like the 9th and like the final one for a lot of teams. We have a couple games the following Friday, but it's mostly playoffs after that. Volleyball's wrapping up. Soccer's wrapping up. Golf's almost done.
Golf
They're going
has
to
their regional, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, golf is going to play regionals tomorrow, and then states is going to be the weekend, I believe. So we're wrapping things up in the fall. We're right in the heart of NFL season, though. We just had games yesterday. Jordan, I don't even know how'd the Bills do it? They had a week off, yeah. So what'd you end up watching?
So I ended up watching. I actually went golfing with my brother, so I caught a lot of the late stuff. So I got to see the Jets stunner, and I got to see the Pittsburgh Chargers game, which was shocking to say the least. But I guess the Chargers are back to their old ways, just blowing games that they really shouldn't lose. They were playing a third-string quarterback, and he didn't really have to do much. Yeah. They were up 14-0 before he even got a first. So that was that game, and I guess for the Browns, Russell Wilson is just awesome.
Yeah,
he's probably the MVP right now. If I had to pick a player, I think he's done the most for a team that necessarily had the least. They lost a lot of guys going into the season, and he's got Seattle cruising. I guess I don't really know much else to say from the Browns' perspective. I thought they put up a good fight against a good team, but it's just is what it is.
They had the lead in the fourth, the Browns. They ended up losing 32-28. The defense couldn't stop Russell Wilson for that last drive, and then the Browns shot themselves in the foot, and the refs brought out a gun and did some shooting themselves. And but you can't blame the refs. The Browns didn't play well enough to win that game. The receivers got to start bringing in some balls instead of giving them to the defenders. That happened twice in that game. That was sickening. And they're not helping Baker out. He's the ones he puts on target, they should at least bring in. Mm-hmm. It's kind of tough to watch, but it was Seahawks are a very good team in the NFL, and the fact that the Browns had the lead for so long, had a chance in the fourth quarter is encouraging. I would just like to see them not commit so many dang fouls. Geez, that's getting boring. Mm-hmm. Every good play that happens, there's a flag, and it drives me nuts. It's hard to watch.
I was going to say that in that Browns game, that I was with you on the got to catch passes. Odell Beckham made that great pass. We went up over the guy, came down, somebody got his elbow down before he went out of bounds. You're like, man, what a great catch! But 2 balls. And yes, I know they weren't quite on target, but it's Odell Beckham Jr. who makes one-handed catches
Yeah, that's kind of his thing.
2 balls hit him in both hands, and he dropped them both. That's if that's your star receiver, you gotta get him on that page. And then, like you said, the 2 that went through their hands. And then the other thing I noticed from the Pirate game or from the Steelers game. I'm a baseball guy, but no, the one thing I noticed from the Steelers game is that Devin Bush is a beast.
Oh yeah,
he's got 4 fumble recoveries and 2 interceptions 5 games into his NFL career.
Wow.
That makes his when the Steelers traded up to get him, and looks like it was a pretty darn good trade.
Looking at the Steelers, their schedule is actually looking pretty favorable. If they can either get Rudolph back, or if this Hodges guy, can just, really he just needs to steer the ship. If their defense is going to be that good,
right,
and their running game is going to be that good, he just has to not make mistakes. He just has to, I guess the term that everyone loves is game manager. That's what those quarterbacks are going to be asked to do. And if they go back to the smash mouth Steeler football, they could be at least in the hunt for the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best where they're going to be. It seems like.
I mean, they're only 2 games behind the Ravens.
Right.
I mean,
and the Ravens, I guess they probably have a tougher schedule, I'd imagine, because they had a better record last year. They won the division, so they have to play all the division winners.
Right.
But yeah, and I guess the real big story from the NFL was that the officiating's been kind of an issue. I guess the Chiefs.
It's been an issue for 10 years.
Yeah, and the Chiefs, I think Pat Mahomes threw a pass, and he thought that it was going to be pass interference on Travis Kelce, and he ended up throwing a pick on the play. So he thought he had a free play.
Mm-hmm.
But then the refs waved off the flag, so the Texans just get the interception to stand when he thought that he got a free play.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up just waving everything off on him. So, and the Chiefs, that ended up costing them the game.
Yep.
So that was like the big story of the game. And it's like, one, I don't think that you should just be. I think the quarterbacks have to be smarter with their free plays that they think is going to happen. Like, you can't just be like, I'm going to throw a pick here.
Why not? If it's not going to, they're not thinking I'm going to throw a pick, but they're throwing. Let's go downfield now since we can.
Yeah.
And see what happens, because if they intercept it, it's going to come back because it's a defensive penalty.
I guess
who's thinking? Oh, they might wave that off. I better make sure I throw this right.
Well, I guess now you're going to have to after that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to.
I mean, normally the free play thing, it happens most commonly with offside.
Yeah.
Where it's like so clear and obvious that they know they're getting the call. Doing it with a pass interference, I feel, is a lot riskier.
Yeah.
But I do get your point. Like, I don't blame him for necessarily throwing it. But I guess you got to throw a better pass. I mean, you can't just throw.
Well, especially with pass interference, because you don't. I mean, what are you gonna? Oh, my guy's touched, so I'm gonna get pass interference. I'm gonna throw this, but that doesn't mean the referee saw it either. So you gotta be.
It was pretty egregious, though. Looking at it, the guy just literally hugged Travis Kelce off the line, so he didn't even get to run his route.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, it should have been defensive holding.
Right.
And the Chiefs ended up getting nothing for it. And that's the biggest blown call possibly the year thus far.
Yeah.
So, considering how big the stakes were for the game and stuff like that.
I'm finding it hard to watch football in general because of the flag issue.
Yeah.
It's really tough to. It stalls out the momentum of the game, and it just seems like every drive, just flag.
I think it's just way worse. It's way worse in the pros than in the other, because we watch a lot of high school football. We watch a lot of college football, and it's nowhere near as bad.
No,
I think the quality of officiating. I know that. I mean, in high school, you can't really expect them to be the best official. They're volunteer.
Yeah.
They're getting paid, but they're doing a job that a lot of people don't want to do.
Well, there's another reason for that too. That's most of the offensive linemen we're watching aren't having to try and stop Garrett from running in the backfield.
That's right.
These guys are almost unstoppable. That's why they're getting
the game's
called.
so much faster.
They're not trying to defend Odell Beckham Jr. running down the field.
I just find it remarkable that the NFL is so highly scrutinized, and I think the college refereeing is a lot better than the NFL one. I don't really know why. I guess it may be just it's harder to ref an NFL game.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it goes to the talent in every team. I mean, you're talking about the top, 1,500 football players in the country playing in the NFL.
It's got to be the speed, I'd imagine.
The speed's different, the strength, the size.
But still, I mean, what was that? A couple weeks ago, the roughing the passer call on the Steelers when the guy just tackled him on the legs. That blindside block that Landry got this Sunday. Those they seem obvious. I don't know why they're getting messed up so bad. And
I think they're looking for other things instead of trying to catch everything. Maybe they need to add an official somewhere. You know what I mean?
Computerize it.
I can't imagine another set of flags to go around.
Well, no, I'm but
flag the referees.
Most of them look for certain things.
Yeah.
One guy's main job, he's watching the line and looking for offsides and 12 starts. Mm-hmm. And then once that's done, he's watching to see if the catch is inbounds or out of bounds. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And while that's going on, you have guys watching for to make sure the quarterback's not getting hit or the receiver's not getting held or there's stuff going on that they're missing because they just don't. Maybe they just don't have enough eyes.
Well, then they're just so worried about injuries. A tackle is such an instantaneous, violent event, and yet they want to shade it. They want you can do it this way, but you can't do it this way, and that line is so thin, and nobody really knows where it's at the moment. Not the players, not the referees, and it's just
Well,
a flag call or a no flag.
I think the defensive players are doing, for the most part, a pretty decent job of figuring it out. But every time there's a helmet-to-helmet hit, there's a flag thrown. The defensive player gets called for the helmet-to-helmet hit. And I'm telling you, at least 50% of the time, the defensive player is going low, and the offensive player lowers his helmet. And if he's the one causing the contact, they're going to have to start flagging the offensive players.
Yeah, they did that in the preseason a couple years. I think 2 years ago when they first added that lowering the helmet rule that was could be called on running backs. They called it in the preseason, and naturally, that's the way most of their preseason calls go. They call it a ton in the preseason, and then they just back off because they don't want to get in big trouble and scrutinized. And then they get more scrutiny. Then they get more scrutiny for it, and
It's a mess.
Yeah, I think really the best way to do it is you have to make these guys full time referees. Yeah. They can't have I know these guys have regular jobs all week, and then they come in and do the games on Sunday. Well, when you're doing a regular job and then the NFL is your part-time job, you're probably not putting as much effort as you can to knowing all the rules, being more confident be in your calls. I know in soccer, in European soccer, the refs they have referee training regimens. They go through the 5 days of training and studying and learning all their calls, and they stay in shape, and they're doing all this stuff. They're athletes, essentially. And I think their calls are way better comparatively. I know soccer's a totally different game, but I think being full-time and having your entire life be NFL officiating would probably make you a much better official.
I think there's a couple of things they could do. Obviously, some kind of they got to be full-time, so they don't have to work another job and they can just concentrate on the one job they're doing. I think a training spot, they can go into the off-season, watch film, see the calls.
Yeah.
And I think they should be tested. We're going to give you these films. Tell us what your call is. And the ones who don't do well, you're out of here. We're hiring someone else.
Baseball umpires get tested, right?
Get tested.
You have to go through a rigorous.
You got to score
program.
0 12 years in a row before they fire you in Major League Baseball.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, they train and they go through all that. And I think another thing would be it's not someone I heard someone bring up. I thought it was a good idea, especially for replay. Every week, I think there's 1 or 2 crews that have the week off in the NFL, and why not have those guys go into the replay office and help out, so you don't have one guy in there trying to do every replay on his own. Mm-hmm. I think you would see they would learn a lot more as far as what they're looking for, and it would help them when it's their time to go out the next week, because they're like, oh, I just saw that.
Right, yeah. I think it's just a mess that they have a lot of issues with, and they got to clean it up.
But but one thing about high school is there's no replay. There's a call on the field. That call stands. Complain about it, whatever. It ain't going to change on the next play. It's fun. Keeps the game moving. Is there some egregious stuff that goes on? Yes. Is it as bad as some of the fans on a certain side of the field think it is? No. Nobody's getting kickbacks. Nobody's getting bribed. They make mistakes. They make good calls. They do it for not much money, and they do a pretty decent job. Speaking of high school football, let's talk about that, since we were out at some games last week.
Yeah.
Or was that? Oh, I went up to Russell, Pennsylvania. I made the 1.5 to 2 hour trip all the way to almost the New York border to see Maplewood take on Eisenhower. Maplewood rolled in that game 52 to 21. That was they locked up at least a piece of the Region 2 championship, their first title in 25 years. They were funny because they have such big goals this season. They put up 52 points, but they gave up 21. They weren't real happy about that. They had some turnovers. They had some penalties. They let some plays get by them on defense, and they weren't real happy about that after the game. And it's because they understand, they've been to the playoffs before. They understand that the things that went wrong in the Eisenhower game are things that if they do that stuff in the playoffs, it's going to really cost them. And so they have their eyes focused forward. It's cool that they won. I think it's really cool that they won their first title in 25 years, but you could tell that the players weren't satisfied, that they have their eyes set on the future, and that they want to do better. They want better for themselves. Still, 52 points, 52-21 win over Eisenhower. First title. Let's see, Donor had 153 yards rushing and then caught a touchdown pass. J.D. McFadden became the first Crawford County quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards in his career during the game. So that was huge for them. So it was a big week for Maplewood, and so good for them. They got Sagertown this week. All they got to do is beat winless Sagertown, and it's all theirs. And I was talking to Coach Borkovich after the game, and I'm like, boy, you guys are kind of in a weird place. Sort of psychologically, because all your big games, it seemed, have already happened. The Reynolds game, who beat them in the playoffs last year. The Union City game, who
beat them in the regular season.
Beat them for the region title last year, and then they kind of, it seems like the intensity kind of fades at the end of the year. They had Eisenhower, who only had 2 wins, and then they got Sagertown, who only has, who doesn't have any wins. But he said it's not going to be a problem to get up for the Sagertown game. These are Pencrest kids. Mm-hmm. They know each other. There's bad blood going back years. He said there's been some junior high stuff that they're not too happy about. So he said it's not going to be. He doesn't foresee any issues with Maplewood getting up for Sagertown this Friday. So he's kind of he's okay with that. But they're in good shape. They got a piece of the puzzle. They're going to be in the playoffs. So we'll follow up with them later. Let's see. Dan Walk, our colleague Dan Walk, went to Meadville and saw Meadville. They just beat up on Du Bois, over a winless Du Bois team. That was a 62-21 final. Fullback Arian Cotterman didn't play in the game, but Landon Beck's moved the quarterback, Meadville's quarterback, moved back into a running back role, and he put up a bunch of yards, didn't he? Yeah, 212, 212 for a quarterback turned running back. He's quite an athlete, and he shows it when he gets chances to run the football. He doesn't really get too many chances because they already got 3 really good guys in the backfield. Among them, like Hayden Parks, who had 164 yards rushing last week as well.
And 4 TDs.
4 touchdowns. That's what I'm saying. So
he took over Cotterman's job, and
so he moved to fullback.
I think so. Walk wasn't sure he could remember who was where, but I mean, he obviously Cotterman's usually the guy who muscles it in,
punches it up the middle. Yeah.
So looks like Park did that job, and then Beck kind of must have switched into Park's role.
Jordan, you went out to Cochrane Friday.
Yeah, and it was kind of similar story to last year's game. Last year it was an 8-7 win for Cochranton. This time it was a 13-12 win for Cambridge Springs. So these two teams are locked in these close, low-scoring, defensive slugfest games. The real story was there was a scary moment for Xavier Castillo, who he was taken off on a stretcher to an ambulance, and I haven't really heard anything new about that. I hope everything's okay with him but yeah, that seemed like it was a scary moment, but it kind of sparked something in Cambridge Springs where they just they made the necessary plays to get through that, get over the top, and Jared Taylor had a big punt return to get them past that scary moment there. But yeah, I mean that's just the scary part of football. I mean, there's nothing around it besides that.
Jeez, man, Cambridge Springs only had 2 first downs. Is that right?
They found a way, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they had they didn't really get their first play where they moved the chains until the third quarter. Jeez, and they were able to they found a way. They had some big turnovers that their defense was able to get. They got them some easy field position where they were able to score. But yeah, I mean that game was a battle, twists and turns really.
Yeah,
a lot of crazy stuff.
Was their first touchdown, right? Yeah. So one first down there.
Let's see. Also on Friday, Grove City beat Connie at 46-14. Connie is still trying to recover from the slew of injuries they've been dealing with. It looks like Noah Richardson came back, had a decent game, didn't get to run the ball a whole lot. Let's see. Bortnick completed 9 of 15 for 85 yards. Noah Richardson got off a pass. He caught 6 passes for 72 touchdowns. The kid can catch the ball, man. He does kind of remind me of a Henry Litwin, who's now tearing it up at Slippery Rock this year. So it's good to see him back. They finish up with who? Connie at Ohio, who's actually doing pretty well this year.
Yeah, they just beat Northwestern, who was unbeaten in that region.
So they took over that second spot for what is it? AA they are in, but they don't play in the.
They don't, but I mean that was big for the region title.
Yeah.
That was basically the region title this past week. So
they beat Northwestern 31-0. Union City beat Sagertown 41-6 Friday night.
And that one Marshall Van Tassel, 153 yards, and I can't remember how many touchdowns he scored, but. It seems like every week Union City has someone pop up. It's like, where did that guy come from?
Jakewith, the Kesselring, all these guys. Caleb Stahl. They just every week it seems like there's a new guy. I guess that's the whole point of the offense, isn't it? Is to find the guy that works and ride him. Other big game last week, Farrell over Reynolds, 51-0. Farrell. They haven't been scored on in 6-7 weeks or something like that. It's ridiculous. They're looking pretty dominant as they were last year.
Started out I think 1-2, and I think it's safe to say that they're back.
Yeah, Harbor Creek's still undefeated, 54-19 over Northeast last week. Oil City beat Fort LaBeouf 41-13. They're winning Region 7. Cathedral Prep. I don't know what they did Saturday. They played.
They beat Canisius, and Erie lost on Saturday.
All right. Let's see what else is going on this week, high school wise. We mentioned golf. That's going to be tomorrow. We got Ryan Ferry of Meadville is going to be in the regionals, and also
Dylan Flinchbaugh
from Sagertown. Yeah, he's going to be in 2A. Ferry's going to be battling in 3A. Ferry's going for his 3rd straight state appearance, right? Mm-hmm. He's made it the last 2 years. We'll see how he competes, and that's in York, Pennsylvania? No, that's where the finals is. This is in Heritage Hills, DuBois? I don't know.
Is it Treasure Lakes too?
Treasure Lakes, DuBois. Yeah. Let's see. Cross Country Tuesday, we got a non-region meet, Lakeview and Meadville at Connie. I can tell you how that one's going to go right now. Now, I don't actually know who's going to run in that because they might be in their taper-down phase of getting guys rested and gals, getting them rested up and getting ready for districts, which is in 2 weekends. We also have the Region 3 Invitational is going to be Saturday at Rocky Grove. But that's a non-region one, so Lakeview's got a very good girls team. Meadville's got a very good boys team. Connie has probably got the best female run, one of the best female runners in District 10. Meadville's got one of the best male runners in District 10, so there's going to be some good action there. Girls soccer, we got finishing up. Seneca's going to be at Maplewood. That could be a big win for Maplewood. I believe they've opted in for the playoffs. That could be a good one to go out on. Seneca's, that's a winnable match for them. They play tomorrow night at Townville. McDowell's at Meadville. Meadville's putting their. They just lost, didn't they? They lost to Karn City, so they had their winning streak interrupted. Mm-hmm. Karn City is a District 9 team, I believe. Yeah, they're obviously pretty good. Yep. So Meadville's going to try to get back, and they've been on a bit of a revenge tour the second half of the season. They've been knocking off a lot of teams that beat them earlier, like Hickory, Bradford, and they've been able to get over on them. McDowell might be a different beast. I remember Coach Miller earlier in the season telling me McDowell is probably the toughest team that they've seen this year. So we're going to see how that goes tomorrow night, or at 6 at Bender Field. Girls volleyball. Tomorrow night, girls volleyball is crazy. We got Connie at Meadville. We got Union City at Cambridge Springs. Cambridge Springs is the last team standing between Union City and a Region 3 championship. I think Union City has a piece of it currently. If they beat Cambridge, then it's all the Bears. The Bears kind of seemingly came out of left field this year and just really turned it on. They've been kind of in that middle of the pack range in Region 3 for forever. And this year, boy, they really put it together. They're undefeated in that region. Rocky Grove's at Jamestown. Jamestown is another kind of a cool story. I was just there tonight. They beat Calvary Baptist in 3 games. They've won 6 matches in a row, including Thursday. They beat Commodore Perry. Commodore Perry was undefeated going into that match. Commodore Perry had beaten Jamestown in 5 games back in September when they played. And then they met up last week on Thursday, and it went 5 games again. This time Jamestown won. So that was their 5th in a row. Today was their 6th in a row, and they get Rocky Grove tomorrow night. Rocky Grove beat them in 5 games earlier in the season, and Jamestown is going to try to turn the tables once again this year. That'll give them 7 to end the season on, and that'll be a big boost for them going into the playoffs. And if that wasn't all, we also got Sagertown at Cochranton tomorrow. So I don't know how we're going to get to all these things. We'll try to get to them in some fashion. Me and you are going to be pretty busy tomorrow, Jordan. I'll tell you that. And Matt, you're going to get crushed by the end of the night. So hey, something to look forward to. And you look real happy about that. Thursday, volleyball, Wilmington at Jamestown. Corey's at Cochranton. That's going to be an interesting match. Corey's very good. Cochranton's very good. And Sagertown's at Conneaut. Pretty good matches on Thursday as well. And then football Friday. What matchups are you interested in there, Matt?
Lordy. I don't know. You know what? You got the... It's Meadville Grove City's probably the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other ones are kind of moot. You know what I mean? Union City at Cambridge. I mean,
that's going to be an interesting game, I think. Union City's tough. I don't know. I didn't get to see Cambridge Springs play. Cochranton is at Eisenhower.
Conneaut, Ohio is at Conneaut area.
Let's see, Cochranton and Eisenhower. Cochranton is 1-7. Eisenhower is 2-6. I see that's a good game. Cochranton could finish strong there. Union City's at Cambridge Springs. Union City's 4-4. Cambridge Springs 3-5 after last week's win. That's going to be they're kind of close. Maplewood at Sagertown. That's kind of polar ends of the region there. Yeah. Maplewood's 8-0. Sagertown's 0-8. But it's a nice Pencrest rivalry. These kids kind of know each other. That's going to be interesting to play out. But yeah, Conneaut, Ohio is playing well. What are they right now?
They got one loss, I believe, and that was to
6-1 and 3-0 in their region.
6-1, yeah. And Conneaut, let's see if they could finish strong, with the win there. They got that at home. But yeah, Meadville at Grove City. Meadville's they got 2 losses on the year. Yeah, they're 6-2. Grove City is 6-2 as well. Grove City's 3A. Meadville's playing up at 5A. Grove City's they're reigning District 10 champion, I believe.
No, they lost to Sharon.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grove City's.
But they were undefeated going into that game,
right.
So it was a bit of an upset in the D10 title game.
But still, Grove City's been a really good program for years. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting battle,
especially non-region late in the year. That's a tough game, close it out.
Well, good. It's good. It keeps the edge on for when the postseason starts.
Right, and you don't want to play just like a cupcake team before you have to maybe meet up again with Oil City.
Mm-hmm. And then come Saturday, that's like I said, the Region 3 invite. The Crawford County Youth Football League Finals is Saturday at Bender Field, 7:00. One of the Meadville teams, Meadville Red, I believe, is playing Sagertown at 7:00.
2 big college games. Kenyon's visiting Allegheny. A game that Allegheny could win.
Yeah.
Kenyon's pretty good, but it's not the Wittenbergs and OWUs and the teams that Allegheny's been playing leading up to this. So, it'll be a tough game for them, but certainly could be a good time for them to start building some momentum for the rest of their season. And then Edinburgh hosts Slippery Rock, which...
Slippery Rock is coming off a big win last week. They took on number 16 ranked IUP. They went up big, I think, in the first half, something like 20-0 or something like that. And then IUP started coming back, and they made it a 3-point game at some point in the second half. Rock scored a big touchdown to take a 10-point lead. IUP got a touchdown right at the end. Slippery Rock ended up winning that one 45-42. So Slippery Rock, number 9, they stayed at number 9 this season or this week in the rankings.
Yeah, so I mean that's a good chance for anyone nearby who wants to get up and see Henry Litwin.
Yeah, for Mitch and Henry Litwin, yeah. And his former teammate was up at Edinburgh this past weekend when Mercyhurst was at Edinburgh. Mercyhurst was behind. They ended up winning that game 44-23. Hunter Merritt had a really good play in that one. He knocked away a pass and knocked it into his teammate's hands for an interception. It was a pretty cool play. But Hunter had a pretty good game at defensive back for Mercyhurst in that one.
He had 5 tackles, I think.
But yeah, that Allegheny game. Allegheny's coming in 0-5. Kenyon is 3-2. I don't even know who they beat this year.
I know one of their wins was Hiram.
Okay. Henry Hiram's also winless on the season.
I think they might beat Oberlin too.
So
they
made the rounds, yeah.
Yeah, so
it'd be nice to see. It would be nice to see Allegheny get off the schneid, get themselves.
They're gonna have to play a good game because it's not like you got a team coming in who's lost 20 straight or something like that, and is getting beat by 40 points every game. Kenyon's gonna bring some stuff. And they're going to have to show up and stop that offense and play well on offense themselves.
Tell you
they'll be 0-6.
Another big game from this past Saturday was Grove City College at Westminster. Westminster only had one loss coming into the game. Grove City had just pulled off a huge upset against a undefeated Carnegie Mellon team the week before. And they did it again this week. They beat Westminster 43-41, a real exciting one. Big game for Cochran graduate Curtis Fairmouth, who's an inside linebacker for Grove City College. Fairmouth had I believe an interception that stopped the drive for Westminster. He had a sack. He had like 8 tackles total or something like that. He was named the President's Athletic Conference Rookie of the Week this week for his performance in that game. That's really great. He's a true freshman. He's coming in and he's tearing it up for you saw him do it when he was in a Cardinals uniform. It's fun to see it translate to the college game as well. He's really doing some great stuff out there. Luke Sherrod, a Meadville graduate, is on the offensive line for Grove City College. So there's a lot of local guys helping this team really defy some odds and turn some heads in the pack. And it's fun to watch them do that. They're 4-2 now. They're up in tied for third in the pack this year. They have who do they got this week? They're at Waynesburg.
3-2. There's like 4 teams at 3-2.
Yeah.
They're all beating up on each other.
So they're at Waynesburg. Waynesburg's 1-5. So they want to avoid the kind of upsets that they've been handing out this year. So that's let's see. Also, more college. We didn't even talk about college football, have we? A big one, Penn State, Iowa on Saturday. Anybody watch that?
I did. Parts of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't get done in time to make.
It was the classic Penn State Iowa slugfest.
Yeah.
17-12. Yep, 17-12.
Yeah. So they survived that one. I know that they got their big home game. This is their big one. Michigan comes to town.
The Wolverines.
Yeah. So and Michigan looks a lot better since that Wisconsin loss. I know they've played a lot lesser opponents, but it seems like they've gotten a little bit of their mojo back. So I mean that game's gonna be a tough one for Penn State.
That's going to be a good one, yeah. Penn State's had a nice ramp up to this game, though. You know what I mean? They've had a couple easy games. They took it up a notch with a ranked team in Iowa. They handled their business at Iowa, and now it just intensifies this week. Hopefully they figured things out. Hopefully things with Sean Clifford is smoothed out. The running back situation still seems kind of fluid. They seem to have relied on Noah Kane, this freshman, a lot the last 2 games. He's gotten the majority of the handoffs. Journey Brown, when he gets the ball, the Meadville grad Journey Brown, when he gets the ball, he does good things. He had a nice run for it would have been a touchdown, but they got called back for holding on that one. But he had a nice run there. He's really helping out in the pass game, the breakouts, the checkdowns. He's been a crucial guy in that situation. But they really aren't handling the ball too much, which is a shame because I want to see that guy run, But we'll see how it goes. This will be crunch time. The guys that pull it off in this game are going to be their guys for the rest of the season, I think. So that's going to be interesting to see. It was some other big games Saturday, weren't there, Matt?
Oh yeah, well Temple beat number 23 Memphis. A little bit of an upset there, but the big one was South Carolina.
South Carolina
beating Georgia. I was watching that game, And Georgia had the ball right at the end of regulation, had like 8 seconds left, and they wanted to run a little bit of time off the clock just to make sure it was done. And so they've gotten up the snap, and they were just going to throw the ball out of bounds, or if the guy did catch it, make sure it was on the sideline, and they got called for a illegal formation, moved them out of field goal range. So then they had to go for the Hail Mary. They went in overtime. Very first play gets picked off. So South Carolina has a chance to win the game. They go down, miss a field goal. Go into second overtime. Georgia has the ball. They go down. This time they make the field goal, so they're up 3. South Carolina South Carolina makes the field goal, go up 3. Then Georgia has the ball, and they have a very reliable kicker, who when they were going to go out, march him out there for a 55-yard field goal.
Rodrigo Blankenship.
Goggles.
He hits them pretty regularly, I guess, and he missed the field goal at the end.
College football's wacky.
Yeah, it was. It was just like I was watching it at home. I came in, and as soon as I turned on the TV, I saw him miss the field goal. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I guess there was a lot of wackiness in college football. Besides the fact that Alabama just always wins all the time.
Wacky.
Yeah. Wake Forest got upset 62-59 to Louisville. So it was just everybody was just scoring seemed like people were scoring every single play.
Yeah.
And Wake nearly covered 2 onside kicks to rally back from 17 down to win. But then their guy kicked the ball like 30 yards down the field.
Oh man.
And they ended up losing it. But tough. I figured that they weren't going to go undefeated, so I've moved on from my national championship aspirations.
So Wisconsin looked good this weekend.
Wisconsin looked good.
Clemson looked like Clemson.
They always show up for Florida State. They love when Florida State is down. They love just kicking the crap out of them. So it seems like they're back, and with Georgia out of the picture, the college football playoff is wide open for teams like Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Georgia losing, LSU moved into the number 2 spot. They jumped over 3 teams to get there.
We're gearing up for that night, that Alabama LSU 1-2 game that CBS
LSU
promotes how great the SEC is. Look at us, we're the best.
And then
we're
LSU
so
goes
good.
out and lays an egg, and Alabama looks like they're unbeatable, and then they go into the playoff and get beat by Clemson.
But LSU loses by 45 and only drops to 4th in the polls.
Yeah. All right. So that's about it for this week. Come back next week. We're going to talk about more stuff. We'll have some playoff look-aheads, so a wrap-up on the regular season. Obviously, some more NFL. Oh, you know what? We didn't even talk about baseball going on right now.
Yeah.
We got an American League Championship Series, which is tied right now?
Tied. 1-1. Carlos Correa hit a 11th inning home run, walk-off home run in game 2.
Capital W walk-off.
Oh, yeah. He stood at the plate for a while. But that series is destined for 7. Those 2 teams are going to go 7.
Garrett Cole pitches tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 teams are
basically
great.
unhittable since May.
But the Nationals are they're like the exact thing of, look what happens when the team gets the hot pitching.
Mm-hmm.
They're shutting. The Cardinals don't score anymore. They scored a 10 spot in the first inning on the Braves, and since then they have in Game 5. And since then the Nationals have shut them down. It was
8-1. I think when we started recording this, the Nationals.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was 8-1. They won tonight, or 7-1, 1 of the 2.
Yeah.
They won Game 2 4-1, and they won the first game 1-0. Anibal Sanchez had a no-hitter into the 8th in the Game 1.
Scherzer
had a no-hitter into the 7th.
Yeah.
And then Strasburg gave up a single in the first inning and then pretty much shut them down from there. So
they look good, but they're gonna need everything to go right to beat, I think, one of the 2 AL powers. I think the Astros and the Yankees are incredibly good teams.
Good pitching always beats good hitting.
Did you make that up, dude? That was pretty wise.
No, I don't remember who said that, but
sounds like something you'd say.
How do you stop the Astros?
It was actually Yogi Berra. Yogi Berra said that. He said good pitching will always beat good hitting, and vice versa.
So you like the Nats' chances probably more so against the Yankees than against the Astros, right?
Because the Yankees have one pitcher that scares me, and he's pitching tomorrow.
Sabres are undefeated. Hockey.
I know.
Speaking of hockey, Meadville won tonight. They beat Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They've won 2 straight since
Cole Weber hat trick.
Yeah. Cole Weber had a hat trick. They're home next Monday. Quaker Valley, the team that beat them
in the
first
opener.
game of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see what they do.
That was a
with them.
4-1 game, so it'd be interesting to see how much
growth they
how
have.
much growth they've had in 2.5 weeks here. So
Yeah, they won 6-4 over. How are the Pens doing?
They've been getting better.
They've really good, really well. But
I think they've scored 7 goals. Like
they scored
twice in a row.
7-2 over Winnipeg on Sunday.
And I think it was 7-1 the night before.
Wow.
So their offense is starting to click.
Yeah, maybe it was 4-1.
They're 4-2-0 right now.
Yeah.
And then NBA starts next week. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about
Yay!
a little bit about that.
You mean-
The Cavs are back.
Are they now?
No.
Oh, and in case people didn't hear it, we were going to talk about it earlier. I finally got a hold of going up to talk to Jimmy Mulligan and Matt Hill, Edinburgh's coach Matt Hill, and
About the
big wrestling match that's going to be held at Sagertown between Edinburgh and Wisconsin on November 8th.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I cannot believe they're going to have a big Division I wrestling match in that high school gym.
I was surprised at how often it is done now. Matt Hill mentioned that Ohio State did it a couple years ago for Kyle Snyder. They were hosting Maryland, so rather than have Maryland come all the way up to Ohio, they went down to where Matt Schneider went to school in Maryland, and they wrestled there.
Huh. Well, what size school was that, though? You know what I mean? It
I
depends
don't
on the
know.
high school.
Yeah, right. And then last year, they did it for they went to 2 high schools and wrestled.
Who's that?
Ohio State went to 2 high schools and wrestled matches. One was another wrestler went to school there, and I don't know who. I think they might have went for the other one because they were trying to recruit someone. Who knows? But.
and anybody that's interested in going to see that, District 10 fans, you'll be able to see a lot of District 10 talent on the Edinburgh side.
Quite maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
You could see a lot.
possible. Yeah, Ty Rundell, Cambridge Springs is on that team.
Yep.
Cody Mulligan, 2-time state champion for Sagertown's on that team. Dylan Reynolds, state champion from Sagertown's on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Who am I missing? Tyler Bass.
Tyler
Still on
Bass.
the team?
Yep.
Wow.
All 3. There's a good chance all 3 of the Sagertown kids could start. And it sounds like, listening to the coaching staff, that they really like Varndell's chances to start. Then you got Carmen Ciotti from McDowell.
Well, he was in Hawaii. He wrestled for a lot of schools during his time in District 10.
Yeah, he ended it. His last school was McDowell.
I believe he's at McLean for a year, maybe even at Prep for.
I think at LaBeouf,
Yeah.
maybe. But and then while the chances of them starting are a lot slimmer, cash standout Peyton Hearn and Titusville standout Hunter Thompson are on that team as well. So there'll be 7 guys from District 10 on that Edinburgh squad. So there'll be a lot of. I think that'll create a lot of interest, and it's going to be small. So you're going to have to get Jimmy said there weren't many tickets left, so.
Yeah, we even had to get a ticket in order to go cover the game. They had to give us a ticket to take up one of the seats. So sorry about that. The last guy who's in line to get a ticket, we're going to go there to make sure we get something in there. But yeah, did we miss anything? Is anything else you guys want to talk before we close up
Anything else?
No, I think we're getting pretty good at this.
Yeah,
this podcast thing.
Yeah,
I did want to mention.
Yeah, we are.
I did want to give a shout out to Simone Bills, who set the record for medals won. In gymnastics.
Right. Yeah.
And
She's
looking
else.
like she's ready to lead another gold medal effort for the United States at the 2020 Olympics.
Yeah, we're less than a year away from the Olympics.
We also had a sub 2-hour marathon just recently.
Yeah, but it doesn't count because it was under controlled. They said it was under controlled things. It was no hills, and it was just It was basically.
I'll count it. My personal record book. I'm counting it.
Okay, it's in the Hansgen book of records. But yeah, that's it for this week, guys. If you have anything to add to the conversation, questions, comments, compliments, poetry. A theme song or something. We need a theme song. We need to open this thing with some music. Any musicians out there want to do diddly diddly on their guitars or whatever, send it our way. We need some jams. You could reach us at sports@meadvilletribune.com via email, or you could reach us on Twitter at Tribune_sports. For Matt, for Jordan, my name is Pete. This has been Sideline Confidential. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.